everybody, and welcome to Customer Loyalty is Not Law, the Behavioural Insights Network Webinar. If you can hear me, kindly indicate that you can hear me wherever you are. Perhaps just drop a chat in the chat box and say, yes, I can hear you. The numbers are climbing gradually and more people are joining, but we will not wait because we do not want to waste time. We want to make sure that we are able to gain good traction. If you can hear me, please indicate in the chat that yes, I can hear you, to be sure I'm clear that indeed we can all hear me and we are fine. All right, I'll appreciate that. Yes, thank you. The numbers are climbing. Thank you very much, everyone. The numbers are climbing. Thank you. For those of us who are listening, Femi Obidare is my name, and I am Senior Program Officer with the Policy Innovation Center, and I work with the Behavioural Insights unit. So Behavioural Insights, Behavioural Innovation Lab, rather, of the Policy Innovation Center, and we're excited to have you all join this afternoon. So in just about a minute or two, I'm going to yield the floor to our Executive Director, but the numbers are climbing, like I said, and it would be great to, if you have got people that you have decided to join this webinar together, it's the time to invite them right away and remind them, because we would not be wasting time at all. We want to get to the meat of the conversation, and already our speakers are already here, and the moderator is online already, and everyone is beginning to settle down. So let's get right to it in a minute or two, and then we will proceed to get into the conversation and dig deeper. Okay, so in about a minute or two, I'm going to call up our Executive Director, and then we will get on with the conversation for today. She's going to just give a brief introduction and opening remarks, and we're going to get on. But please go ahead and invite people, put it up on your status. Yes, put it up on your status that yes, we are live. The webinar is live, and this is going to be super exciting this afternoon. The webinar is live. Go ahead and tell people within your space, within your network, and remind them that the fire is beginning to burn this afternoon, and that we're getting on live and right. So yes, just one or two more minutes, and then we'll open the floor for the conversation and we'll get going. We're going to have an exciting learning time today. And yeah, I see the numbers still climbing again. And yeah, we're going to really have a wonderful learning time without delays. All right, let's just move forward with it so we don't have any further delays. Again, welcome to the webinar, and I'm going to open the floor and yield the mic to the Executive Director of Policy Innovation Center, dear Dr. Osasu Dirisu, to give an opening remark for this exciting webinar.
Great. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for taking out time to join this webinar. It promises to be very exciting. Just by way of introduction, just to remind us of those who convened us here. So it's the Behavioral Innovation Lab of the Policy Innovation Center. We're excited about this webinar series because it gives us an opportunity to, one of the things that when we conceptualized the lab 3 years ago, one of the things that we're very conscious about was the fact that behavioral insights and the application of behavioral insights to solve everyday problems was not something that was mainstream in Nigeria. And we thought that if we had a platform like this, through this webinar series and a lot of other things that we do, we can begin to increase that consciousness. So get people a lot more aware and conversant of behavioral science and its application in our everyday lives. And also just create that ecosystem of partners or people who can now find opportunities to begin to leverage behavioral science to solve everyday problems, while we also continue to use BI to tackle social problems and try to address gaps, in being able to drive equity, inclusion, and social impact in our country. So this series is hosted by the Behavioral Innovation Lab, And the theme for today, I'm not going to say much about it because we have the experts already on the line, which is customer loyalty is not luck. You know, behavioral science strategies for winning repeat buyers. So many times we play hide and seek with customers, either in terms of the products we sell, the services that we're rendering. And sometimes we wonder why we can't just scale our businesses or really be able to move conversations around profitability to the next level. You're in the right place. You'll be able to apply these principles, whether you're in development, so whether you're talking about, you know, serving the communities you serve, whether you're looking at customers for business, or whether you are even in government and looking at how to ensure that your stakeholders, your citizens, you know, are satisfied with the sort of services that you provide. So please keep your questions coming, sit back and enjoy this webinar. And I just want to enjoin you to mark the BI Lab because they'll be coming to you every single month with a lot more insightful webinars like this. So thank you so much for joining us. I'm looking forward to an insightful conversation today. Thank you, Femi, for having me.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for that. It's always a delight listening to Doctor share the insights and then listen or the vision for the work we do here at the Policy Innovation Center and the Behavioral Innovation Lab. I'm going to give the floor right away to my supervisor and my boss, Mr. Akinwumi Akinola, moderator for today, to take things forward from here. Mr. Akin, over to you, sir. Let's spotlight Mr. Akin, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Femi. Thank you, Dr. Osasui. It's good to be here. My name is Akinwumi Akinola. I believe you can all hear me, so I'll just go ahead. What we're here to do today is just to have a critical conversation on something that is very topical, regardless of whether you work in government, in public service, in private sector, or even in the development space. And so I'll do a bit of background setting. There is a saying, and I quote, "Customer satisfaction is worthless, customer loyalty is priceless." And that's a quote by Jeffrey G. Tolmer. So you will see that that quote is very pregnant, and you can have a deep dive conversation on it. In other words, it's not enough for us to aspire towards customer satisfaction in today's world. It is important that we're able to move the needle to moving away from customer satisfaction to a higher level, which is customer loyalty. And because of that, our brand and business can have significant rise and significant outcomes as a result of that. There is evidence and data, particularly from McKinsey, that says that for every referrals and word of mouth marketing, for instance, has 3 times likelihood of conversion than every other marketing channels. That's the typical example of how the social proof component of building brand loyalty, customer loyalty for your brand or business can actually shift the needle in terms of your bottom line. So it is very, very important that we keep this top of the mind. It underscores the importance of building customers who are loyal to our brand and to our business. To have this conversation, I have 2 very important chief executive officers with me. Before I introduce them, I'm going to speak to their profile. In case you are joining us for the first time, this webinar is put together by the Behavioral Innovation Lab of the Policy Innovation Center, and it's a pleasure to welcome you to this particular edition titled "Customer Loyalty is Not Luck," using behavioral science strategies to win repeat buyers and customers. Like I said, once again, my name is Akinwumi Akinola. I will just go straight to introduce my speakers. I have very distinguished chief executive, 2 of them for that matter. The first person is a visionary fintech leader. He was newly elected the president of CFA Society Nigeria. Of course, he also continues to champion ethical finance and professional excellence across the country. And as the co-founder and chief executive officer of Cowry Wise, he is reshaping Nigerian investment culture by making wealth building tools accessible to millions of people especially the digitally connected, but also the underserved population. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you Mr. Razak Ahmed, who is the founder and CEO of CarryWise. Mr. Razak, it's a pleasure to have you join this webinar.
Yeah, thank you, Akiomi. It's my pleasure being here.
My second or other chief executive officer, this time around, we are trying to balance the gender mix. And so you should expect to see a female, is an organizational and industrial psychologist. She's also a management consultant with more than 18 years of experience. Of course, in an area of with an area of expertise, for instance, in process re-engineering, customer experience, and she has a brand name that is unique to her, which is customer seductress. So she specializes in customer seduction. It's not always bad when you use the word seduction. As the CEO of Katzin Consult, she has trained almost 10,000 participants and provided solutions, learning programs, and advisory services to more than 100 clients. Folake Agumbiade is the author of the best-selling book, Customer Seduction: Undressing What Profitable Customers Really Want. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to welcome with me Mrs. Folake Agumbiade, the CEO of Katzin Consult.
Thank you for having me. Great to be here.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I love your backdrop. Looks so nice.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it's
just to
awesome
catch it.
To be here.
Yeah, just to on a lighter note, I mean, just to kickstart the conversation, how did you come about the name Customer Seductress? What does that mean, for instance, for brand reality?
I like that question because I've been asked over and over and over again. In fact, I remember the first time I had to explain to my spiritual leader that I wanted to start bearing the tag name, the Customer Seductress. He almost fainted. However, the word seduction has two meanings. If you go to your dictionary, the second meaning for seduction is to gain trust and to charm. So you gain the trust of people and you charm them. And when you examine the science behind customer loyalty, people don't understand that when customers like you, they're going to leave you. But if they love you, they're going to keep coming back. So it's the science of emotional connections. How do you create cognitive processes that allow your customers to become hooked on you and keep coming back? How to attract profitable customers and keep them coming back. So basically, that's what it's about. We're all in the business of seduction, one way or the other. The deliberateness that you put into engaging emotions in your customer interactions will determine whether they like you or they fall in love with you.
A lot of buzzwords you threw out there, from charm to and a whole lot of others that you just mentioned. But I mean, it's quite interesting that the essence of connection is something that you highlighted and spotlighted, and it's really connected to our brand promise and loyalty, essentially. I'd like to flip this to Mr. Razak. Why should business owners actually understand how their buyers make purchase decisions? And if you could walk us through, the journey map, or what's the typical, maybe cognitive processes, or what goes on the mind of buyers when they want to make purchase decisions.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So I think for every business owner, there is always that bias that the customer will give you the attention you need as a business owner. So if you're offering a product, you are basically just looking at the whole world and thinking your product is probably the best in the world. And the customer, by whatever belief you have, will give you the attention, will give you the respect you deserve because you put in the efforts to build a company, to build a service, to build a product. And your expectation is that the customer should love it. But customers don't give a damn about your existence because they have 1,001 things they're doing with your lives. Is it that they're in school? trying to pass an exam, or they're looking for wife or husband, or they're looking for kids, or trying to send their kids to school, or they have an extended family problem they're attending to. So there are 1,001 issues that confront an average customers when they want to make purchase decisions. And that is one factor that every business owner must put into consideration when it comes to the customer journey. You must give the customer the benefits to go through the product experience with the slightest of friction, because you don't want them to, you want to respect their time. Whatever time they are committing to buying or patronizing your service, you want to respect it. And that is the important thing when it comes to understanding what goes on in the mind of the customers when it comes to purchase decision. So you have to build a product and service such that the key value proposition of the product comes to life and triggers the customer to make a good decision for your product. Because the customer doesn't know you are alive. And the customer's awareness of your product might be as a result of them coming in touch with it by accident, not necessarily because someone sat them down to go through your product. They might just see your product on a billboard. They might come across your product while having a discussion with your friend. They might come across your product on the TV. You do not have the right to expect the customer to spend 10 hours, 2 minutes, or 1 minute digging through your product. So you must give the customer the opportunity to connect with your product at the slightest opportunity the customer is giving you. So that initial push to trigger the customer, to create an anchor, to ensure that the customer nurtures an interest in your product is an extremely important first step when it comes to customer journey. And every product must get that right. Otherwise, you will build a shiny product that looks extremely beautiful, but at the end of the day, nobody is using it. So as a product owner, as a service provider, as a business owner, we need to first understand that customers don't owe us anything. And if by chance the customer gives us the opportunity of investing a portion of their time in assessing or using our product, we must have done our homework to ensure that they have the best experience possible. And that is why that actually is the seed of building a successful business, because there is no business if you do not have a customer. And the best way to have a customer is to respect their time, value their resources, such that when they invest those resources in your product, they get the best value possible. Which is why it is somewhat counterintuitive that when customers buy products, we do not have, or some businesses do not invest heavily to serve that customer, because it's extremely hard to acquire a customer. So understanding what triggers a customer to buy a product is the initial stage in the journey to retaining the customer and getting the best value out of that customer.
Thank you so much. This is a very fantastic and a pregnant take. I would like to ask some follow-up questions because you said quite a lot of things. You talked about trigger. Mrs. Afolaki Agumbia talked about the hook. You talked about, I will just niche on, the entire process flow. You talked about awareness, the exposure to information, how people process information in microseconds, and how much we should be able to get their attention in as brief moments as possible. All of that entire process up to the point where they think about the desire. We also know that sometimes they have alternatives. So like you said, the writing-seeking behavior is there. It's not just you are not the only product. You are not the only person offering that product. And so it's good to have that top of mind. But thinking about it, are there other factors, whether it is social, personal, that shapes a customer repeat portfolio?
So can you repeat that? I lost you a bit for a few seconds. Not sure if it was just me.
Yeah, I think Zaki's network is a little bit off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hear
All
me?
right. Yes, you're coming back now. Yes, we can hear you
Okay.
now.
Oh, okay. So my question is, are there factors where the person, can you hear me?
I'm struggling, but maybe you could, I think you're even off the radar now.
Yeah, I think it's off again. Just 1 second, you should be able to join.
Okay.
Oh, I can hear you clearly, actually.
Oh,
Can you
okay.
hear me now?
Yes, your video
Yeah.
is still off. Okay, yeah, good.
So if I were to be a potential customer, I'm gone. You've lost me. I'm gone.
This is what we call friction.
This is a friction.
This is what we call
Yeah,
friction.
Richard, right?
Yeah, I'm gone.
So you said a lot of things there. The entire customer experience has to be frictionless. It has to be delightful. It has to be satisfying. And I asked a follow-up question, which is,
Okay.
how do social, cultural, or personal factors shape a customer's repeat purchase behavior?
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for that. That's quite an important question, because every context of a product existence matters, which is why certain products that are quite successful in this part of the world might not be successful in other parts of the world. We've seen instances, for example, of, say, the mobile money craze in Eastern Africa that was quite successful. It's a global reference to what financial inclusion could look like. But we've not been able to see the repetition of that in West Africa, in Nigeria, for example, because we have a different rail, we have a different set of behavior that has been conditioned over the years. So social factors matter a lot when it comes to influencing customers' decision. And that should go into the product development. So product can be developed in isolation. It has to be developed within the context of what is applicable in the social setting that the product is meant to be. For example, if you go to Saudi Arabia, or let's say Middle East, the Arab countries, and you're developing a product that is interest-based, most likely you will not succeed as a business, because from a social standpoint, they do not bank with anything with interest. But you can do the same in the United States or Europe, and you will be successful. And we've seen instances of that. So why building the product? Social context matter. It matters a whole lot in order to define the acceptability of that product and to give the product a good odds of success. Then the other part is individual circumstances also matter, which is why today we all don't use the same product. If we take a poll right now among the participants of this webinar, some people will be using Bank A, some will be using Bank B, even though Bank A and Bank B are offering similar services. And the reason is very simple. For example, I'll do a bit. I use a GTB as a bank, right? Even though I've gone through a whole lot of issues with them. And the question is, why do I use GTB? I'm sure the reason I use GTB is similar to why most people use GTB. I started using GTB while I was in school. They gave me the opportunity to open a bank account for free at zero opening balance. And we have millions of customers like that who use GTB, right? And why haven't I changed? I haven't changed because I do not see any reason to, even though I go through headaches sometimes with their services. So my presence in school defined the usage of GTB for me. It determined my onboarding onto a GTB platform. And that explains why millions of people also have similar experience with GTB. There are other instances. Some people started using a bank because they went to NYC. They went for NYC. And at NYC, you have to, they create an account for you. They opened one for me as well while I was there. They opened Oceanic Bank, even though I stopped using it. But some people started using that specific bank account because of the NYC experience. So those are just instances of social circumstances that can determine the usage of certain products or services of a company. Age also matters. Social circumstances, whether you're from a polygamous family, or you are from a religious family, or you are from culturally deep family, all those things matter when it comes to purchasing, which is why, for example, if you go to Shaki, there are certain type of product they buy there. But if you go to Kwara State, there are certain types of product they buy there. So when you're developing products, you need to put all of these factors into consideration in order to ensure that you're actually meeting the need of the customer. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if your product is beautiful. It doesn't matter if your product is shiny. The fundamental driver of the adoption of the product is, are you specifically meeting the fundamental need of the customer? And that fundamental need of the customer is layered by many factors: social, personal, religion, political, cultural, so many things. And all those things must be put into consideration before the product is developed in order to improve the odds of success and adoption.
Wow. Fantastic. Can you hear me?
Yes. Looks like you disappeared there. You came back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I mean, I love what you said, because I mean, this also attests to, I checked your website and I saw that you had a separate product offering with considerations for allow. And that's typically what you spoke to. So you did a market segmentation that, just x-rays the variety of the different lifestyles and preferences of the people you are targeting. And I think that's very important when we want to develop product, or when we really want to attract brand loyalty to whatever business that we are doing. I'm going to flip over to Mrs. Afolake Agunbiade, and my question to you is, what practical approaches can businesses adopt to leverage social networks to foster customer loyalty? What practical approaches can businesses leverage to foster customer loyalty, customer loyalty to their brands or to their businesses?
Fantastic question. Thank you so much, Mr. Razak. That was quite insightful. You were just nailing it so beautifully. And thank you, PIC, for this opportunity once again. It's good to be here. Please forgive my voice. I've lost it, so I might not speak so loudly. Now, social proof is an important element when it comes to engaging your business and customer loyalty. How the society perceives you as an organization would determine whether they become loyal to you or not. So as a business, it's impossible for you to go far if you don't leverage your social networks. Social media has become the fastest way to sell anything, no matter how absurd it is. Even traditionalists are on social media, as absurd as it is.
You can say
There's
that
almost
again.
nothing that you're looking for that if you go on social media and you're trying to push or do a search on, you will be shocked at how the algorithm will bring so many things around that particular thing to you that you don't even know exist. So as a business, your ability to position and gain social capital will determine whether or not you gain customer loyalty. In a world where attention is shrinking so badly, how you now use that social engagement that allows the algorithm to carry your product or your service far. It needs to be engaging. I'm a consultant, and there are people, I'll share this story because it's quite interesting that as a consultant, there's a certain level of courage you are expected to deliver when you are engaging outside. So you're not expected to advertise and do so many things. And
When I put some things on my page, my husband teases me and he's like, consultants, why are you dancing on your page? I say, my brother, if it's dance that will get them hooked on my page, hello. Yes, because what I do can be termed as boring.
Yeah.
If you're talking about social capital, somebody is going to say, oh, it's not interesting, it's not fun. So you need to be ingenious with the kind of content that your business is generating. You need to think outside of the box. You need to create an experience that triggers the right emotion with the customers that you're trying to engage. That is why brands engage influencers. You are seeing a brand that is very serious, very professional, and they are signing a brand ambassador who is an actor, an actress. You are asking yourself, what are they doing? They understand what people want to see. Yes. You can't show up on social media and say, I show up as I am, as a business. And they must take me as I am. Nobody's going to engage you. Yeah. If you want people to get to meet you, to love you, there are psychological rewards that you must provide for your customers that gets them engaged and connected to you. So you must be creative. You must engage professionals who know how to turn your product and service into memorable, short, but powerful engagement strategy that increases your social capital and allows the algorithm to take whatever you're putting out there and take it out of your hands and take it to the nations. It's a lot of deliberateness. And for many of us, we just want to stay in our comfort zone. We don't want to push it out there. We don't want to try something new. Hello, people want to know you are human. That's personalization. They want to get to meet your brand and know that there is a human being behind the success story, behind the product that you're selling, behind the service that you offer. They want to identify with you as a person, not as a brand alone, but as a person.
I like that.
So we need to be more deliberate.
I like that. I like that because vulnerability is something that is people just don't want to relate to your business as an object of something that they cannot. The essence of brand connection, right? The essence of the emotional appeal to your brand is very important in loyalty. And I think it's given lesser attention when we talk about brand loyalty many times. So it's not just about your business. Your personality also has a reflection and an impact on the kind of loyalty that you get for your brand. And I think that's very important. I'm going to go on a break, but before I go on the break, there's a question that is intricately connected to your last comment about making a connection, particularly using the social network. And that's about the impression of what you see online, for instance, for online digital purchases, and what you actually meet in reality. I don't know if you have had any experience of that and how that played out in terms of your loyalty to those brands.
Oh my God, what you ordered versus what you got.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure everyone has a sub story. Yeah. Somebody wrote Tiemu in the comment section. I saw that. I've also had my experiences where it was so wonderful to behold. It looked so unreal. And I was so excited waiting to receive that. I've had it in products, I've had it in service, funnily enough. It's not just products. We have services that give you, for instance, you're a hotel, what you're providing is hospitality services. And you check the reviews, it looks so beautiful. The rooms look so effortless. The sheets look as if once you jump into that resort, you are going to die there. But when you get there, what you see is worrisome. And you begin to ask yourself, why are you being deceptive in your product offering engagement online? And a lot of businesses think that that is how you attract customers. No. You know why? If you bring them in and the experience is bad, you're not just going to lose them, which a lot of people have lost me. I'm a service advocate. So if you give me bad service, I ain't coming back to tell you to fix it unless you're paying me. Hello?
You can talk about
I'm going to move
market.
on. I'm going to move on. I'm going to demand good service, and I'm definitely going to move on from you. However, that is not the bane of your problem. Not only do you lose the lifetime value, the CLV, the customer lifetime value of that particular customer, which is quite huge to your turnover and your ability to sustain your business over the years that are coming. You lose that, then you lose every referral that should have come from them. Then you have bad publicity, because we're in a woke generation where people are not just going to blacklist you, they're going to go on social media and trend with your business. Yes. So you need to be deliberate to match reality with what you're putting on social media. Try as much as possible to even up your game, under promise and over deliver, so that when they come and experience your brand or your business or your product, they're blown away. Like, this is unbelievable. Somebody sent me a picture of a wig they got and sent me the picture that they were attracted to when they purchased the wig. And I'm like, we need to do better as business owners, because our sustainability depends on it. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. That is something every one of us can relate to, because many times what you actually order is different from what you get, and that dissonance is a big deal. I also like the fact that you brought out and highlighted the missed opportunity for repeat customers. I think what a lot of businesses miss out is that they feel that, oh, you know, that the service or that dissatisfaction stays with the customer, but the missed repeat business and the value of missed businesses, especially from bad publicity, I think we many times underestimate it, and it's good to put that to the front line anytime that we want to put a very good impression. But like you said, it's good to under promise and over deliver, and it's something that we must always pay attention to in managing our brand loyalty. I'll take a break right now and have my colleague Femi take over, and then I'll return in a few minutes. Over to you, Femi.
All right, please confirm that you can hear me and can see my screen at the same time, buddy. Is my screen visible?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, very well. So very quickly, in just a few minutes, I'll just quickly talk about what it is that network is about, for those of us who are hearing about it the first time. And for those of us who have been wondering, how can you be a part of the network? How can you be a member? What is the pathway for you becoming a member of this network? So I'll just run through it very quickly. Well, Behavioural Insights Network was like my executive director said earlier on, it's the community of practice for behavioral insights enthusiasts in Nigeria. This is the first of its kind in this country, and we started out the work around 2023 when we had our first fellowship, that's Binta Fellowship. And then as at November 2024, we launched officially, where we graduated about 30 fellows. And at the start of this year, we began the webinar series. This is the third in the series. And sometime in May, our director was invited, in recognition of the work we're doing as a network in Africa or in Nigeria. Our director was invited to speak at the Global South webinar for a broader community of practice for behavioral insights enthusiasts or practitioners across the Global South. And so lots of benefits that you stand to gain if you join this network. I'm just going to center on three important benefits. One is the professional and personal development, essentially the capacity building around the practical use of behavioral insights in your personal life and your profession or your career. Then, of course, there is that part where you get to be a part, so a member of the very first Behavioural Insights Community of Practice in Nigeria. And of course, access to a lot of resources and project guidance and possibility of even working together to get funds to deliver certain projects as a whole. But the juice really is that members of this network can stand out and say, hey, we belong to this group of people who use behavioral insights practically to affect either business or governance or policy or programs across board, or even to better their personal life as a whole. Now, there are two pathways to membership. You've got the professional membership and executive membership. For now, our focus is on the professional membership. Along the line, we'll open up the executive membership as we move on. And so there are essentially 6 different levels of membership. First of all is the floor member, which practically everybody who has been participating in our webinars, in our sessions, is a part of. And right here, the webinars are free. You have access to that at that level. And then you have access to our free course on our LMS, more about that later on. And of course, you also have access to our life enhancement series, which focuses on how to use behavioral insights for everyday life and everyday issues. And that's very open. Anybody can be a floor member. You can join any of these things or any of these sessions. The next level is what we call the community member, which comes with a fee, of course. And when you pay for that, you get a higher level of benefits. And some of those critical benefits is that you get a digital membership and certificate. You have access, exclusive access to what we call the expert in residence session, which is bi-monthly, deep dive sessions on behavioral insight, behavioral science, and application to technical areas of work. And then, of course, we'll also have access to that quarterly hangout or community networking meetings, usually a quarterly hangout with the executive director, where we just come together, community members come together, and then we can relate. We're targeting to have one before the end of this year, and it will be exclusive to actual community members. Then the next level is what we call the associate. At the associate level, you go through what we call specialized tracks, because there are 3 tracks that this fellowship, this network is focused around. We've got the private sector track, we've got the governance track, and we've got the evidence track, which is focused much more around research. Now, when you become an associate, what happens is that you have access to any of those tracks. You choose the track and you go through a curriculum, but we build your capacity in either BI for private sector or BI for public sector or governance, and BI for evidence, or BI or evidence in BI, as the case may apply. And once you go through all that and you complete that, we get to the next level that we call the innovator. At the innovator level, what you're doing is that you are implementing a project in groups of other people in a particular track that you're focused on. And from then on, you move on to when you successfully implement the project and you do well in that, you move on to the next level that we call the fellow. That's the BIN fellow. And 2024, we graduated the first set of fellows under the Behavioural Insights Network. We call them Behavioural Insights Network Transparency and Accountability Fellows, 30 of them. But of course, we're opening up now, and this is going to grow beyond what we had there back then. Now, you become a BIN fellow when you have successfully implemented a project at the previous level, and you've done well in that project. Then it shows that you've demonstrated actual capacity to hatch an idea that is targeting a social problem or a business problem or a problem in research. And then you've been able to work together with the Behavioral Innovation Lab to hack and solve that problem, applying behavioral informed principles. And the last, of course, phase or stage there is what we call the Hall of Fame. And the idea behind Hall of Fame is that, well, if you have become a fellow, that's not the apogee of it, that's not the climax of it. You're expected that for some time, you are continually gaining professional development units for yourself, you're developing yourself, and then you're contributing significantly to the behavioral science community in this part of the world. And when you've done that successfully over a 6-year period, then you can advance to what we call the Hall of Fame. Now, your track record will be documented as a member of the fellows, as a member of the network, as you go from one stage to the other, from floor member to community member to associate to innovator to being a fellow, and then to get into the Hall of Fame. And so we're going to be sharing more of this at the community groups that we're going to open up shortly, which I'm going to talk about right away. So next steps for us. First, we have a community on WhatsApp that we opened currently. It is live. Already there are members there. And that's the first thing. We want you to join that community. A lot of engagement is going to be happening from there, from this point onward. By the 3rd week of this month, for example, we'll commence our life enhancement series, and every other week, bi-weekly, we'll be addressing topical issues that relate to everyday life using behavioral insight lens that you'll find very interesting, very applicable, very relatable, that you can immediately begin to use when you hear that, either it's for family, for health, for career, for business, or you're interfacing with government, or in decision making. You're going to find very practical application. And we did this because we understand that evidence showed us that a lot of people sometimes can get confused about what BI really is about and its direct application. So we're simplifying things for you. And if you join that community, you can have access to that. The link is displayed on the screen. My colleague will be dropping it in the chat box so you can see that. And the next thing from there, of course, is that you also take the LMS course. You prepare for membership. Now, preparing for membership means that you are taking the LMS course. It's very free within a short within a few days, or if you're very focused, within one day, you can be done with the course there. And then you attend 6 life enhancement sessions, because those are important for us to be able to layer you or assess that, yes, indeed, you can now become a full member, a proper member of it. Because if you don't do those things, you're going to be lost when you actually become a member. So it's just to help you. And then the final thing, of course, is that we'd like you to indicate interest in the SME course. We're planning for an SME course to come up later in the year. The link is also displayed. It will be dropped in the chat box. You can check that. You can register your interest in there so that we can then engage you and communicate with you going forward. So summarily, first, we want you to go ahead and join the WhatsApp community. That right there, engagement will happen on a regular. Next, take the LMS course and prepare yourself to attend at least about 6 of those life enhancement series, so you can familiarize yourself with some of these concepts. And then, of course, if you so desire, you can indicate interest in joining the SME course that we're planning for later in the year. So that will be all for now. These links are dropped in the chat box. Then you can go ahead, and when you get into that group, we'll share more of this information for every member of the group, and then we can flow from there. Thank you very much. And for now, I hand over back to Mr. Aki. Over.
Thank you so much, Femi, for that side notices of what opportunities are bound with the Behavioral Insights Network. And it's good to be back. I'm going to ask a few questions before we wrap up from my both panelists. I'll start with Madam Afolaki Agunbiade, and I know that you are well versed in customer service. By the way, what's the difference between customer service and customer satisfaction and customer loyalty? I just wanted to ask.
There's a huge difference between the two. Just like there is a huge difference between customer service and customer experience. In Nigeria, we use that term interchangeably. However, one is a derivative of the other. Customer service is reactive, while customer experience is proactive. Customer satisfaction is the precursor to customer loyalty. You can't have loyalty when there is no satisfaction. That's the basis for even engaging a customer to the point that they want to continue doing business with your brand and going ahead to refer you to other people. Because in any customer experience engagement, it's either good or bad. It's never neutral. You either blew their mind and they were satisfied. In fact, for many of us that do research in that area, it is actually perceived customer satisfaction, because you can. And not tell what will satisfy you. You offer it to customer B. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. The level of customer engagement that you offer to customer A, if you offer it to customer B, even though it's top-notch experience, it might not give satisfaction because of the factors that Mr. Razak mentioned earlier, cultural, social, individual, personal. A Gen Z would be more drawn to sustainability than a baby bloomer. For a baby bloomer, it will be convenience. Very important. How convenient can I do anything I want to do without stress? So you need to have that at the back of your mind, that satisfaction is evolving. And your perception of satisfaction today can change tomorrow if there is another brand that is competing at a level of preemptive service, giving the customer what they don't even know they need. Yeah. If you're on the basic level, yeah, you might satisfy numbers, a few. However, there is a large engagement level that is available when your service or experience is proactive, spotting problems before customers even know that it exists and solving it. So customer satisfaction is the foundation for customer loyalty.
Thank you so much. Mr. Razak, I know that you have experience in using the backend data to profile customer data and use it very well. Can you walk us through the steps, for instance, on how you can actually first capture customer data and use it actually to foster a higher brand loyalty, a higher customer loyalty, for instance, for your brand?
Okay, yeah, data is very important, obviously. And different businesses have different way of capturing data. And if you are a tech-enabled business, for example, you have the opportunity to capture millions of different shades of data about customers. When they purchase your products, how much they purchase, can you group them into different age, can you group them into different states, and so on and so forth. So there is the technology for data capturing, which is basically you having the needed data stack as a business to ensure that you capture, store, and process the entire data of the customer from the time they got aware of your product to the time they are making purchases and the repeat purchases they make over time. So being able to capture the data is the first stage. Then analyzing the data is a second, to draw insights from the data and then looping it back into the product experience. So data is not useful until it is used, until insights are drawn from it for the purpose of bettering the experience of the customer. So we've seen instances where, for example, there was one experiment we ran with customer data on Cowrywise. Because we have a lot of relatively young customer base, there is the notion that how do we serve the high net worth individuals, for example. So in our understanding, we felt it's either you are joining Cowrywise as a high net worth individual, or we take on the responsibility to build you along the journey so that you become high net worth individual, which means that we are looking into the future to ensure that as you grow in your career, as you grow in your job, as your salary increases, as your network increases, you automatically transition into high net worth individual from us. But we know for sure that what we should be showing someone who is a high net worth individual should be different from what someone who is just starting out investing should be seeing. For example, we have suggestive PLs when you want to top up your investment, for example. If, as a high net worth individual, we are suggesting top up your investment with 10 Naira, with 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, or 10,000, it's meaningless because it doesn't speak to your profile. It doesn't speak to your wealth profile. But if you do the same for a student, to a very large extent, it speaks to that student profile. So what we've done with data is to understand first the life stage of our customers and then segregate what they see based on that life stage. So it's a part personalization. So as a high net worth individual, when we're giving you suggestive pills to top up your investment, we're telling you to top it up by 1 million, 500,000, 3 million, 5 million, because those numbers, you are used to them. You can't make decision to invest by saying you want to invest 1,000, 2,000. You are above that. So we shouldn't be presenting 1,000, 2,000 to you. So these are the invisible experiences that customers go through. And when they say they love a product, they might not even be able to explain why they love the product. They will just have the impression that they love the product. And until you get to that level of product development, wherein you embed series of psychology, series of behavioral insight, let me use your word, when you embed series of behavioral insights to craft superior experience for the customer, until you get to that level, you may not be able to cultivate loyalty. So loyalty is a process. You don't just win customer loyalty from day one. As Ms. Folake said, it is born out of customer satisfaction. And I agree with that 100%, because you don't win customer loyalty from day one. You win customer loyalty over time. The countless encounters that customers have with you will determine whether they become loyal or not. And at the bedrock of that encounter, you must be able to satisfy them, meet their need. The value proposition of the product must be top-notch. If you're able to do that, then you win their loyalty. And the way to satisfy them rests on being able to hyper-personalized, right? When you hyper-personalize, customer won't know why they love you.
Yeah.
And when others want to copy you, they wouldn't know where to start from. You will just know that customers just love you, they'll sing your praises, they will make referrals about the products. And we've seen that from practical experience, that the cheapest way to acquire new customers is to satisfy your existing customer. Is the cheapest, most cost-effective way to grow is to satisfy your existing customer, because they will continuously refer people to use the product. So overall, using data is extremely important when it comes to building unique experiences that customers will go through in order to build the basis for customer satisfaction and customer loyalty.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I would flip to the audience and open the floor for questions. If you have questions, please put in the chat box, and then we'll take your questions and address it to our speakers. One final question from both of you, and that question is, how do you measure the loyalty strategies that they are working? And I'll start with you, Mr. Razak. How do you measure your loyalty strategies?
There is one way you can do that. There are 1,001 ways, but one important way that I will mention is when you start to acquire customers that you can't explain where they are coming from. When customers start using your product and you don't have a clue as to where they're coming from, right? And the reason is very simple. If you're spending a lot of money on marketing, on Google Ads, you know how much you're spending. You can easily measure that. And you can see how many customers are coming through that funnel. So you spend 1 million naira, you get 10, 15 customers. You can see that. But when you are getting 1,000 customers without spending 1 million naira, then you begin to ask, where are these customers coming from? And we've seen that organically acquired customers are the cheapest, the most loyal, because they are coming from someone who has tested your product, who has used your product, who is fully satisfied about your product. Referring someone to use a product is an extreme sport. Before you do that, you must have tested the product, except if it is, all this scam and all of that. But if it's like a genuine product, before you refer others to use the product, you must have tested it. So once you begin to see that significant number of new customers are being acquired without you spending a lot of money to acquire them, then the implication is that your referral quotient is very, very high. Your existing customers are talking about you when you are not there. They are talking about you in conferences. They're talking about you in classrooms. They're talking about you in their houses. They're talking about it in their workplace. And you don't have a clue how to measure that. So once you begin to see that, it's a strong measure that you have loyal customers who are satisfied with your products, and they see it as important and duty, quote and unquote, to flex muscle by referring your products to their colleagues. So overall, if you make your customers proud such that they feel extreme pride to mention your brand or refer your product when you are not there, I think you've hacked the factor of customer loyalty.
I like that. In other words, when they market and they become advocates for your business, even when it is unsolicited, I think
Correct.
that is self-initiated, and that's fantastic. My first question here, I'm going to direct to Mrs. Folake Agumbiade, and the question is, how can one repair or rebuild customer loyalty? That question is from Queen Banjo. How can somebody rebuild customer loyalty? From Queen Banjo. If you can do that in 1 minute, I would appreciate it.
I love that question because most organizations have fantastic customer engagement strategies, but they don't have a service recovery plan. Yes. What is your service recovery strategy as a brand? Organizations that have supported in building their customer-centric culture, this has been a key element of how to win back loyalty. Every time you recover a service failure, that customer becomes extremely loyal. And guess what? From my experience as a psychologist, service failure, yes, would happen because you have unforeseen circumstances that are sometimes out of your control. Sometimes it's not that, it's just difficult customers, irate customers, like I would like to see, who just want things a certain way. If you are able to use your recovery strategy, tailor it in a way where you can fix service failures, and at least everybody goes away with some form of resolution rather than cognitive dissonance, you most likely would improve your customer loyalty because they're the ones that will talk about you the more. You see those guys that just come and go, they might never refer your brand. But when you have a service failure and you are able to recover it with your strategy, it can't be reactive. It needs to be proactive. Yeah. When this happens, we do this. So, yeah.
Thank you. I think the key word there is proactive, and you use that to distinguish between the customer experience and customer service. I would like you to drop your questions in the chat box so that we can address them and ask our speakers. I will take a question here, and that has to do with the barriers to building customer loyalties in view or given the consideration that many customers are variety seeking. I've experienced A now. I want to know what the taste of B is, and just that variety seeking characteristics or behavior is. My question to you, Mr. Razak, is from a practical experience, how do you build that customer loyalty, knowing that some customers actually are seeking variety?
Okay. First of all, everyone can be a customer. I think we need to start from that angle, right?
Great.
Like you can't be a service provider to everybody. And the best way, even if you want to be a service provider to everybody, the best way to start is to start from those who are likely to use the product the most, the core, right? And to build that loyalty over time requires that you need to just be very authentic to yourself, authentic to your brand, authentic to the service chatter that you have to your customers. You will not be perfect. You will meet stumbling blocks. Every business has that history. in their archive, things that they've fallen short of. But you might actually be able to leverage every stumbling block when it comes to satisfying customer as a lever for growth. We've seen instances where customers who got disgruntled as a result of many factors, because you have third parties, dependents, services, and so many things that might be outside your control. But when you show true authenticity to customers, reasonable customers will identify that. Reasonable customers will say it. But know it for sure that even when you are 100% service delivery, some customers are just very tough to service. And I'll give an example of one. 3 days ago, we had to tell a customer, please, I think it looks like we are not good enough to service you. We are more than happy to give you back your money. Go look for another phone manager who can meet your need. You don't need to abuse the customer. If a customer expectation is unreasonable, and you need to be authentic to yourself and truthful to yourself as well, to be sure that your assessment is correct, that the customer is unreasonable, not out of pride that this customer is, some customers can be very tough because of poor service delivery. You must be able to identify when that scenario happens. But in a scenario where customer is extremely unreasonable, I think the best way is to disengage that customer, right? It can be extremely costly to spend a lot of time trying to satisfy a customer who ordinarily doesn't want to be satisfied. But if the issue is about the customers not getting satisfied because of your own limitations, it's a learning moment for you as a business to fix the problem and show true authenticity to the customer that you've identified that you are at fault and you're fixing this. I think most customers appreciate authentic responses like that rather than covering it up, trying to make the company feel perfect. Everybody knows. For example, there was a service I had an opportunity of patronizing, and there was an issue that a colleague of mine had. I knew exactly what the issue was. My colleague knew exactly what the issue was, but a team from that company sent an email saying that, oh, you're experiencing this because of a technical glitch. And we all knew it wasn't technical glitch. So that kind of statement basically just made me feel this company is not authentic, which means they can actually wrap every issue beneath, its technical glitch. So one just needs to be very authentic. And once you are, I think a good number of reasonable customers will give you benefits of the doubt.
I'm sure your comments is going to feel like an attack on a specific industry in Nigeria where they change their schedules and they say operational technical glitches. And you all can relate with this, which is very important. Like, it's a very important point you are bringing out about transparency around, even when you think that a solution is in sight or not, and being realistic about managing the expectations of the customers vis-a-vis what is reasonable within your bounds and capability to be able to resolve. My next question to you, Mrs. Folake Arumbiade, is how can business owners design their products or services to effectively capture customer attention? There's a lot of focus on customer attention now, especially given that there's a lot of distraction and responsibilities that customers face daily.
We can no longer deny the fact that attention span is shrinking. Yeah, I did a recent study on attention span in young people, and it's scary that it is about 7.5 seconds. Yes.
Interesting.
7.5 seconds. So you're trying to sell a business, you're trying to sell a brand, and you're having to do it in a space where the more people that see your product or your service, the better your possibility of creating customer loyalty. And we're in a scrolling generation. The products that a lot of these apps are selling to are the people who are behind the screen. So what it means is that you're going to have to be very deliberate in producing attention grabbing, engaging content around your business. It's not a science you can figure out in one day, because you're going to have to keep trying and see what works. You're going to have to study some of these, mediums that you would be using to advertise your products and see what people like. There are certain things that are liked on Twitter that is not liked on Instagram. There are certain things that are liked on TikTok that is not liked on LinkedIn.
Okay.
And you cannot
It looks like we lost you. Okay. Miss Falake, it looks like we lost you. If you
use
can.
a one-size-fits to watch it. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah, can hear you.
Yes, I said you need to create ads that your audience wants to see, not create ads and look for the audience that will watch it. You'll be on your own.
Interesting. So I'm going to pick your last statement and flip it to Mr. Razak. The concept of ads, organic growth, and baiting and sales promo and all of that. How do you create a balance? So the question from Yinka Falade is, which is best to organically grow and get customers using baits like promos to get customers, knowing that organic growth might take time? So Yinka's question is, which is best? Is it to organically get customers or use baits like promos to get them, given that, organic might take some time?
Okay. So if you're starting out a new business, I think I'll link this to what I mentioned earlier. The customers don't know you. They don't even know you exist. So if you're creating a product in your world, it's your world. If you're opening that world to the customer, you need to figure out a way to convince the customer to come into your world. And marketing is an important tool to do that. So you have to do marketing. You have to design marketing. You have to make something that will grab the attention of the customer to make them understand that you exist and why you exist. And that is the precursor to them purchasing the product. So marketing is important. You can't rely on just organic marketing when you are starting out. It's suicide. Nobody will hear about you. They might, but that will be accidental. And you don't want to plan on randomness when you're building out a business. There has to be deliberateness in terms of how you want to go to market. So your go-to-market strategy should include things that enable the customers to discover you. And that is where promotion comes in. However, while you're doing promotion, I wouldn't use the word bait. Be careful what you promote. Someone mentioned Temu here earlier. It's a perception. When we're talking about, I think there was a discussion ongoing and what you ordered and what you got. Someone mentioned Temu. It's a perception. And I'm sure probably 80% of people in this webinar have that perception about that brand. So you mention a brand, what perception comes up? So if you're using a lot of baiting, it creates an impression. And those impressions will end up either supporting the business long-term or kill the business long-term. And when you factor in the fact that when you build a business, you are not just focusing on short-term, you're focusing on building a living organism that lives for a very long time. You want to ensure that every opportunity customers have to interface with your product, there is some element of authenticity in there. You don't want customers to have the impression that anything this business says is not what it is in reality. So you need to do promotion, you need to do marketing, but you don't have to bait customers in a very how will I put it? To bait customers in a way that they feel you're lying to them. So that needs to be clear. However, over time, there is a blurry line between organic and paid marketing. to be honest, because they end up reinforcing each other. When you do a lot of paid marketing, people that you acquire through paid marketing might end up being your advocates for organic marketing as well. So they go hand in hand. So you can do the two. Most times companies need to do the two, which is why I wouldn't say it is either or. But over time, at different stages of the company's life cycle, different channel will contribute a different proportion to customer acquisition and retention. As you grow very old and big and well-known, most times the organic channel becomes stronger. But early stage, you need to do paid marketing to make the brand go out there. And let me just also mention something about what Ms. Folake mentioned earlier about grabbing attention. Maybe after this event, everyone here should take note of the billboards around them and observe how many of those billboards have they missed passing the same location every day, or how many of those billboards have they not given any consideration. And the reason is very simple. Those promotions are not attention grabbing. It's just a waste of money. So you might be passing the same location 24/7, but a billboard is there, massive, but you're just not seeing what is there because all they do there is to write a lot of text like a prose, and it's not attention grabbing. So that is extremely important when it comes to winning customers' attention.
Fantastic. There's a lot to actually unpack there. There's a lot to say about framing, how the what are even framed, what comes, what's the choice of what you use, the framing, the white space, the spread, the aspect ratio. There's just a lot of design element, color mix, and all of that. And that's what we call salience actually in behavioral insights. Like, how do you build salience? Sometimes it's frequency, it's repetition, it's the fact that the words jump out and you can read it in as few microseconds as possible. We will still build on this conversation because we know that we cannot exhaust all that there is in this conversation, and because of the pressure of time, I'll take just one final last question, and then we close. And that question is, what role do you think sustainability and social responsibility will play in shaping customer loyalty? That question is to you, Mrs. Folake Agunbiade. What role do you think sustainability and social responsibility will play in shaping customer loyalty?
Very, very critical role. Your ability to see your brand as an extension of your customers will determine whether they are loyal to you. You can't just be taking from them in the transaction without not giving back to them in other elements that they hold valuable and dear. This is August. I work with various brands as a professional, but every August I take a full month out as CSR, and I use it to engage the next generation. I have had customers that stayed with me for 18 years because I impacted on their child. It has nothing to do with the business. It's extending into the things that they call dear. And that takes a lot of personalization. It takes a lot of deliberateness to humanize your customers and your clients.
I love that.
And meet their needs at a resonance that keeps them hooked on you. My customers don't just stay with me for the value I bring to their businesses. They stay with me because my solutions are personalized. Yes. I go down to what you need. That is not even about the business transaction. It might be in other areas of your life that I can provide you that support because I'm also a psychologist. And I know the number of brands that have chosen to work with me because of this give back that I do to young people, reaching as much as 1,000 teenagers and young adults every August. So as a business, don't be taken. Be deliberate about giving back because it will draw loyalty to you.
Thank you so much. Authenticity, personalization, the fact that you go out of your way to not be transactional about your relationship with your customers. I think that those are the key words and insights and lessons to take away from your last comment. My colleague is going to flip a poll on the screen. We would like you to just take that poll in 1 minute, and then we can wrap up in just 1 minute. The first question is, what's your loyalty challenge right now? You have a number of options there. You can just select one. Okay. Second one is, which of these behavioral tactics have you used, even if it is unknowingly, in recent time? Okay, and the last one. The last one is, after this session, what would you start doing differently? I believe you have done that right now. Okay. Thank you so much once again. You can take out the polls. Just a few announcements in case you're just joining us. This webinar is brought to you by the Behavioral Insights Network of the Behavioral Innovation Lab hosted within the Policy Innovation Center. And it's a joy that you have joined us. Some announcements have gone ahead as to how you can engage with us and participate. You can check the chat box to click the links that have been dropped on that to see how you can engage with us. Also to mention that we have a learning management system that gives you a free access. It's important to mention that this is open access for now because it was paid for by somebody. For you to learn the basics and the introduction to behavioral insights. And that is coming to you free of charge, courtesy of the Policy Innovation Center. That was supported by a partner, and so it is open access and it's not gated. I would like you to engage and interact with that so that you can easily plug into these conversations going forward. And also to mention that this is not a one-off event. This is actually the third in the series of the webinars, and we've had two series in this year. This is the third one, and we will still have another one in the next 1 or 2 months. So please keep a watch, stay tuned, stay connected to us as we engage you, even as members or as people who are enthusiasts of the network. On behalf of the entire center, yes.
All right, so I want to call up Dr. shortly for a closing call.
Okay.
It's available. Thank you so much, sir. Doctor, please, you want to take the floor before we close up finally now?
All right. Good afternoon, everyone, once again. First of all, I just really want to thank our fantastic panelists. Thank you so much, Mr. Razak. Thank you so much, Auntie Folake, for coming around and sharing insights. I can't believe this is a free webinar because I have learned so much. I mean, I can't even start to reel out all the things that we've learned from issues relating to sustainability, don't be a taker, how to humanize your customers. There's so much that has been packed into this. And just to say that I saw a question someone asked that this would be streamed, this would be edited and put up on our YouTube page, so you can go back and watch. I'm actually going to go back and watch and take notes because there are some things I haven't been doing right to my customers. I told you at the beginning that we all have customers, whether you're in the development sector or you are a business, everybody as long as you have a product or a service, you are serving someone. So I'm going back to listen. I hope you are also. So thank you so much for all the time that you've spent today. Thank you to our excellent moderator, Akinola, and looking forward to seeing you next month. Please find ways, engage with us, share your insights, and then just let us know what has worked for you in the coming months as you engage with some of the insights you've learned today. I'm definitely going to use that to improve how we also relate to our customers at the Policy Innovation Center. Until we come back to you next month, thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day and the rest of your week. Thank you.